Traditionally, one of the best parts of the conference is what I'm about to bring up next, which is our Trailblazer panel. So if you are on the Trailblazer panel, come on up and take a seat. I'm going to introduce you. So these are Trailblazers who were at the last conference, sitting where you are now, who went home, taught some classes, and became Trailblazers. And today, they're going to share some of their tips, their tricks, things they did, things that worked, what their mindset was through. And I'm going to introduce all of them at once, and then they'll each take a turn and they'll pass the mic as they go through. So kicking off our Trailblazer panel is Jonathan Benjamin. Jonathan Benjamin has always been obsessed with superheroes. At 25, a superhero-themed cafe led to the creation of his online custom t-shirt website of the same theme. He was able to sell his business in 24 short months after single-handedly promoting and marketing his brainchild. His passion for creative marketing was kindled. 4 years ago, he became the co-owner of an automotive marketing company based out of Tampa, Florida. After attending the Seattle Train the Trainer conference in January, he launched HeroReveal.com to promote his IP workshops. Jonathan. Next on the panel will be Peggy Boone. Go ahead and stand, Peggy. In addition to being a certified IP trainer, Peggy is a registered nurse of 25 years, and more recently, a life coach. Peggy's past work has primarily focused on community health program development for youth and marginalized populations. Peggy's first IP workshop was delivered to a group of professional women who practice in the areas of health, law, accounting, teaching, and coaching. Peggy's focal point now is to integrate IP into her services and workshops. Youth with addictions, women's wellness series, autism through the years, a parent's perspective, and others. Please welcome Peggy. Next will be Nova Carlton. Nova Carlton is a video and broadcast producer, director serving in the arenas of personal development and sustainability. Promoting the oneness of all life is her professional objective and passion. When she's unplugged, her time is spent hiking the Colorado mountains, throwing a frisbee in the park, or gathering her tribe together for yet another amazing playgate. Nova has shared the message of IP with frustrated professionals looking to blaze a new trail. Please welcome Nova. Next will be Kim Foster. Kim is a stay-at-home mom of 2 kids, ages 13 and 11. With nearly full-time volunteer jobs. She volunteers in her kids' schools and with local nonprofit organizations that assist children and their families. She and her husband and kids enjoy traveling, scuba diving, and all of the other kids' activities. She has trained 2 groups, one group of stay-at-home moms and one mixed group from her local yoga studio. Please welcome Kim. Cheryl C.K. Brown. Cheryl Crater C.K. Brown is a multifaceted entrepreneur. Her life's mission statement is, I am a creative musician and inspirational speaker, courageously using my talents to positively uplift the world. Although C.K. has a bachelor's degree in music education, she has worked for the Federal Aviation Administration for 31 plus years in air traffic control procedures, which has been an excellent training ground for conducting classes and working with people. She is now preparing to step into the next exciting phase of her life as a musician, trainer, speaker, coach, wellness consultant. And on the panel, last would be Lee Daniel. Lee Daniel is is the owner-attorney of the Advocates of Positive Change, a small law firm focusing on family law issues and concerns. She's trained 101 people since January in 7 workshops. These included mastermind groups in a variety of settings, from her office to an art co-op to a Mary Kay training facility and 2 high school classes of 15 to 16-year-old girls. This is the Denver Trailblazer panel. Please give them a round of applause. And to kick off the panel, we have Jonathan Benjamin.
Thank you. I got trained in Seattle 6 months ago, and I think there's something really special about your first trainer conference. For me, it was anyway. And I gotta tell you, Denver, you guys rock. The running this for the Seattle conference was you guys. Well, some of you were here. So Regina called me about a month ago and asked me if I would be on the Denver panel, and I was like, yeah. Of course, whatever you need, sure. And I guess I spaced what the panel was for a few seconds because I'm like, wait a minute, I don't have to say anything or speak or say anything. And she's like, yeah. So I felt like this anxiety, this fear. It was exciting, but it was scary at the same exact time. Now this is coming from someone who took an F for an entire semester in school just because I didn't want to give a 2-minute speech in front of people in the class. So I took a couple deep breaths and I thought about it for a minute. And I remembered a quote that I always tell people, I post it on Facebook, and really I'd like to think that I live my life this way, which is, if something both scares and excites you, you should probably go ahead and do it. So I said yes, obviously. The interesting thing was, when I was being trained in Seattle, I was looking up at the stage, I was thinking in my head, like, man, I'd really like to be up there. I'd really like to, get on stage and say something. Thoughts become things, so here I am. That's a pretty accurate manifestation, from seat to stage in 6 months. I wish I could do a parking spot that fast, but not so much for me. The fear that I felt reminded me, fear and excitement, it was the same thing, and it's a borderline kind of thing. It goes both ways. It was kind of channeled the right way, but I felt it the same when I went back from Seattle back home, and I knew the material. But I didn't know how to get started. I had like over-analysis paralysis. And if any of you are feeling that right now, or if any of you, is anyone feeling like you understand it and you get it and you want to do it, but you're almost like, man, I gotta step out, I gotta step forward, and I just don't know, I'm a little scared. Anyone? Okay. Good, not good that you're feeling it, but good that just I'm about to help. But, so I put together a couple points and also tell you a couple stories that happened to me that hopefully will help you. Look at the shirt. The J, it's obviously for my name, but also just move forward. Keep moving forward. A lot of the things I'm going to say, you've probably heard it multiple times during this conference, and you might hear it a few more times. But that's good because it's the same stuff. And sometimes it's beating it in your brain for you to remember it on your own. If you're moving forward, you're talking to people, and you're always discussing this and talking about this, the perfect things will happen. Life's magic will happen. The perfect serendipities will happen. You don't even know where it's going to come from. I want to tell you a story that happened to me, and it came from the most unexpected place. When I got back from Seattle, I had to go to a dermatologist and have needles shoved in my face. It was not Botox. Maybe one day, but not yet. I kept having these little places on my beard that the hair stopped growing, and the way they fix it is they just inject cortisone right into the spot, and the hair starts growing again. Don't worry, it's not contagious. Apparently it's extremely common, and I had it about a year ago, so I know that it's not a fun experience to have needles shoved in your face. So I had to get it done because I was seeing this in little spots. I'm like, damn, this thing's back again? I thought I'd get rid of this. And I was like, okay, I have my appointment for Monday. Monday comes. Now, I'm extremely neophobic. I'm getting better, but I used to be held down as a child to, get a shot or, God forbid, draw blood. So I kept putting it on, Monday comes, my appointment's on Monday. Monday, injections and shots in your face on Monday, not gonna happen. That's a horrible way to start the week. I don't think anyone should start their week that way. Tuesday, so I pushed it to Tuesday. Tuesday, right? Tuesday rolls around. Oh, I live in Florida. The humidity has my hair so messed up. I cannot look like this and get shots in my face. I gotta make sure Wednesday rolls around. Wednesday, hump day. Woo woo. You know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be a no needles in the face hump day. That's what it's gonna be. Thursday, if you get the point. So I'm just pushing this thing over. Man, I really gotta go. So I end up going, and I've been to this doctor before. She's extremely professional, but not overly friendly and talkative. So she's flipping through my chart, she's asking me some questions, and one of the questions was, what you been up to, where you been? So I told her I was in Seattle. She said, what did you do in Seattle? I told her what I did in Seattle. She sparks right up. She's like, oh my God, I'm totally into the power of positive, and the power of, Dr. Wayne Dyer, and, the power of now, positive thinking, positive vibes, and we get this great conversation. And then she starts talking about how when she's talking to her patients, she speaks in the terms of health and well-being and healing as opposed to sickness and disease when she's talking to them, because she doesn't want to even say those words out of her mouth. How refreshing is that? I was blown by a doctor, I was blown away. So we have some other friendly conversation. It's going really well. I'm kind of floored by this whole situation. And I would like to think that she injected my face with a little bit more love that day. Although it's never like that. Before I leave, she scribbles down her email address, her personal email address. It's a Gmail account, so it's not like her email at the office. And she goes, whenever you do your classes, whenever you do your workshops, please let me know. And she gives me her email address. Not only would I be interested, but I have tons of friends who love this stuff and they would love to hear more about it. I was like, and that just happened. So, I was like literally in the vortex. I was vibrating at a high level. So I was like, you know what? Let me take this to the next level. Obviously, this is my day. So I go to this little breakfast place that's around the corner from my office. I go there probably once or twice a week. Get coffee. I know the owner just because she's the one usually making the coffee, so I just chat with her while I'm there. She's only open for breakfast, meaning she's closed like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and she doesn't use it in the afternoons, she doesn't use it in the evenings. It seats about 40 or 50 people. So here's my idea. I'm gonna ask her if I can rent it from her. Then I can do my workshop there, and it seats plenty of people, and I'll have a place to do it. So I go in, I'm still riding high from the doctor's office. Little pieces of tissue, blood like this. So I start explaining to her, and I'm about to get to the point where I'm gonna ask her to rent it from me, and she's like, you can use my restaurant. I'll give it to you for free. I'll give you the key. Just lock up and clean up when you leave. So once again, I'm like, did that really happen? This is on a morning, a seemingly horrible morning, to go get needles shoved in my face. Within an hour, I have people excited to take the class, I want to take it, and a place that seats 40 or 50 to do it. Just move forward. I started a networking group. I meet every Tuesday at that same restaurant. It's a great way to get your name out there, to tell people what you're doing. You tell them, they tell other people, and you're networking. It's a great way. You'll find people that way. This one's funny. Don't forget your current skill set. Don't forget you all have skills and talents already. You know people, and you're really good at something, or lots of things. If you don't think you are, think about it, you are. When I was getting trained in Seattle, I was so overwhelmed with the material. Of just like learning the new things and doing it in a structured way and a workbook and all, you guys have huge binders. And I was thinking, how am I gonna market this? How am I gonna get this out there to people? Completely forgetting that I own a marketing company. I asked myself so hard, it was the funniest thing. I was like, this is what I do. I do national campaigns across the country. I can find people to do my class. So, don't forget what you do. If you're talking about this, all the time, to everyone you meet, all the time. But you should be anyway, because that's how thoughts become things. People will come out of the woodwork. It is my firm belief. People don't only want to hear this. They need to hear this. And they'll tell you about it. They'll tell you something you say. They'll come, I need to hear that. Next thing I did, now that I had a place to do it, and I had people interested, was my confidence, I had to build it up a little more. And specifically, I'm a pretty confident person, but for this specific, because it was new, I was feeling that fear. So for me, I wanted to make it more of a business rather than just this little class that I did after work. So I got a website, had it built, had a logo created, business cards, logo pens. I was making it very real to me. I ordered the workbooks from tut.com. I highly recommend you do this. I know that there were some for sale, and I think they're gone right now, but they have them on the website. Order them. Order more than you need. Order 50. If you're only planning on doing 10, trust me, you're gonna manifest it. There's gonna be more people than you can count. That made it very real to me. Those may not be the ways that will make it real to you for your confidence, but you have to do your own ones. The other thing is, and Michael already said this, know the material, and know the material. That's right, you're a smart group. I got back from Seattle, and, well, here's the thing, I'm the kind of person who talks about this all the time anyway. I was already doing it. I'm like the go-to person for people in my, my circle of love, I call it, friends, family, whatnot. When they're down, when they need motivation, inspiration, I'm the one they call. Right when I got back from Seattle, I took a call from a friend I hadn't talked to, and it was about an hour-long conversation. I hang up the phone. My wife comes over to me and goes, "Congratulations, you just did a 1-hour mini workshop." I needed to hear that because it reminded me that I'm already doing this. This is just a more structured way to do it. Use your own stories. You all have amazing stories. If you don't think you do, you do. Think about it. You've all overcome challenges. You've all thought things that happened and manifested, and you thought things that didn't manifest, but then maybe you found out later why it didn't, and it sent you down a better path. So just use your own stories. It'll elicit a lot of conversation in your group. The last thing is, go easy on yourself. My first class, the people were giving me blank stares. Deer in headlights. 2 hours, no one said a word. And this is a class my mom was there. I'm like, oh, hello. But after the class, I was sure they were coming back. Oh, you're not coming back. But after the class, every single one of them sent me a text message saying not only did they love the class, and I did a great job, but they were looking forward to the next one. One of them even called me and said, "Can I bring more materials and another workbook?" Because she wanted to drag her husband. She didn't want him to miss anything else that he already missed. We already missed something, she didn't want to miss anything else. So after all this, if you're still feeling like you're still a little nervous or excited, just remember that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And just move forward.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. I'm just going to do a little clicking here. There we go. I'm really excited to be up here sharing my story with you. I was in your seat 148 days ago. I was exactly where you are today, only in Seattle. I want to take you back a little farther to November 2011, and that was a very important time for me. I decided what I was doing was no longer working for me, so I left my job. And I entered into what I fondly refer to as a period of inquiry. For those of you who have done that, or who haven't, the other name is, what do I want to be when I grow up? So, as many people do, I started searching the internet and reading books and trying to sort out what it was. And I came upon a Train the Trainer session. I have no idea how it came onto my computer. I had no idea who Mike Dooley was. I'd never heard of TUT. I wasn't getting notes from the universe, but as I read this, it just resonated with me so much, and I really felt I wanted to go. And I'm from Vancouver, so it wasn't that long of a journey to get to Seattle. And there was a problem. I had no money because I was in my period of inquiry. And you don't get paid to have a period of inquiry. So I kept thinking about it, and it just didn't seem, nothing was coming. So I sort of let it go. This was probably the end of November. And I was in the middle of a life coaching course at Erickson College. And I'd signed up for the business portion of it. And a couple days later, the phone rang, and I got a call. It was Erickson College, and there weren't enough registrants, so they canceled the course. And I now had a credit to my name, just enough to get me to Seattle and sign me up for this wonderful conference. So off I went, and it was 4 of the most remarkable days of my life. I began began this really fabulous spiritual journey. And I think part of the reason that I left what I was doing was that that piece of me was really yearning to grow. And so that 4 days really helped me to get on that path and start to feel like I had some solid ground under my feet. I was very committed to going home and taking this learning and sharing it with other people when I returned. And so off I went and amassed my bag of tricks, and I wanted to just share a little bit with you of what worked well for me. And so the title of my talk is What's in Your Bag of Tricks, Ippy. And I just want to give Tracy at the back a little wave and a little prop for coming up with the term Ippy. I love being an Ippy, and I know you'll love being an Ippy too. So I wanted to be an ambassador of this information, and I wanted to do it in a way that I was learning and sharing instead of standing at the front of a class and just spewing out words and sounding like Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, so I wanted to just hold the framework of the learning and let the participants sort of steer the ship, if you will. So these are a couple of things that worked well for me. Be prepared. I made a list of all the stuff I thought I would need. I put it in a box and I left it by my door. And when I dashed out with no minutes to spare, I was so glad I could just grab this thing and toss it in my car and head out the door. If Plan A didn't work, the alphabet has 25 more letters. Make it work. Videos were really helpful. I'm so not there, Annie, wherever you are in the vibration activation. Thank you for that this morning. And thank you for having it on YouTube so that I can direct people's attention to your awesomeness. And your 5-minute vibration activation gives me a chance to plan my next activity, get it ready. Or, 5 minutes is a good enough time to run to the bathroom if you have to do that as well. I kept them short, 5 minutes or less. I really found that people's attention started wandering a bit. And so, as I was teaching, the last thing I wanted was people playing Candy Crush Saga on their phones. So, just know your audience, I guess, is the message there. Oh. Dude on the ground. I used a lot of visuals, found pictures that went with pages in the workbook that were good matches, and this one was really very fantastic. The group got a lot of learning, and we had some rich discussion around this. So this is a picture of a fellow I fondly refer to as Dude on the Ground, and as you can see, there's a fellow kicking him, a lady walking by. She doesn't want anything to do with any of this. And then the second lady is helping. And so I invited the group to notice where their eyes went. And then to notice where they're thinking, how their thinking followed as they perceived the situation before them. And then I invited them to open up page 32 of the workbook, where it's all about beliefs and perceptions and emotions, and basically how we perceive our world has a big impact on what life experiences that come into our path. Enter the props. I'll bring them all up at once here. So, I had a whole bunch of props. I'm going to sound a little nasally now. Bear with me. How you filter your world, what you believe and perceive, has a significant impact on what life experiences that come your way. And so if you are filtering from a belief that your life sucks and nothing good ever happens to you and you never have any luck, then what are you bringing about? So we had a lot of fun with the props. It helped to keep the atmosphere light as people felt really safe to start sharing their stories. It sometimes got a little emotional. So the props were left on the table and everyone just sort of started. I would at first invite them to look at a situation through a different set of lenses. Maybe let's look at appreciation, things like that. And they started to use them and they started to pass them to each other, and it just sort of lightened up the room a bit. The jar of jelly beans was used to, as an analogy of 1 minute of our thoughts. And there's 40 jelly beans in the jar, and we have 1,440 minutes in a day. So imagine all of these lined up. We have about 50,000 thoughts in a day, and a good portion of them we're on autopilot, going about our day. So that's about 47,000 thoughts a day. And if we're filtering from my life sucks, nothing good ever happens to me, just imagine what's going on for us in our lives. Page 22 is the diagram that fit well with this. This was just one of the participants having an aha moment. They finally started getting it. So she's telling this story and she's, got these limiting beliefs coming, and before anybody could hand her the glasses, she grabbed them herself, stuck them on, and stuck her tongue out to say, I figured this out myself, thank you very much. Finally, this is a picture of my graduating class. They really love the glasses. Dollar store, $2 a pair, and they really got a lot out of them. They wanted to wear them. 148 days later, I'm still learning and sharing and very much enjoying living and being infinite possibilities. The community of support of the fellow trainers and the Facebook group is really phenomenal. And so I really encourage you to, as Jonathan said, order some books. And I'm really inspired by the numbers of people I saw purchasing 10 workbooks and 10 books. And really just take that first step and you will not regret it. I can guarantee you. Thank you.
So good morning. The first thing I'd like to do is honor all of you for having the courage to step into your heart energy and have a desire to create an empowering shift where there's one needed. Give yourselves a huge round of applause. It's a real honor for me to be up here and share with you how I got here, what I know, and what I do. Personally, I'm a spiritual seeker, and I've always been a spiritual seeker. Professionally, as Regina mentioned, I'm a video producer, I'm a director, and within that, I've had the privilege to work with some of the most prolific visionaries and change makers of our time. And to broadcast the message of oneness is my heart's calling. It is my passion. And sometimes sometimes I'm the one providing the message, and a lot of times it's the message of somebody else. And it doesn't matter to me, just that it gets out there. That's what's important. A lot of my work evolves around project management. The last detail, the last task, delivering everything on time. And for me, I really turned that to acquiring my Trailblazer certification. And how I did that, I thought it would be interesting for you if we walked through it. So I thought I'd take you into a day in the life of a producer-director. Is that interesting to you? Is that fun? Okay. Well, giving you a little background information, the first thing that we would want to do would be just kind of create a working title. You know, get friendly with our project. And so the title for this piece that we're creating together is called You Must Have Hung the Moon. So I created the title, but it doesn't really matter what I think in the end. It's really what the general audience, what the public thinks, how they respond to this information. And so within that, I think we really need to try it on. We need to give it a little test drive, if you will. And so what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to find somebody in your sphere immediately available to you. And I want you to look them in the eye. I want you to partner up, and I want you to look them in the eye. And it's very important that you hold their gaze while you say to them, in your most emphatic delivery, with your heartfelt energy right out front, you must have hung the moon. And we're going to do this on one. I'm going to count you down from 3. And everybody's got their partner, yes? Okay, we're going in 3, 2, 1. So we'll move on. The next thing we've got to do is we've got to identify the right talent for this piece. We've got to have a messenger, somebody to carry it forward. And so I would suggest, I really would suggest, you. So I don't want just any old you. I want your best self. The you that is going to provide the most fantastic, high vibrational message is your most authentic self. The one that shines your unique talents, that really leverages your gifts, your most authentic self. I'm talking about that part of you that shines even when you try to hide it. And you've got to consistently tap into that to be effective in this. And so how do you fearlessly sparkle? How do you constantly arrive at that? And you know, the first thing you've really got to do is you've got to assess your gifts and talents. You've got to create that short list. And that short list is what fires you up, your passions. And then you've got to surrender them to the moment. And once you've done that for yourself, then you've got to surrender them to the message. And that's where you carry it forward. So how can I give support others? And you leverage that. Now, a lot of people would say that this is a risk, a high risk. And I would venture to say that you need to know the risk is an illusion. You're fully supported in every moment. Whenever you step up to give your best self, whenever you step up to be authentic, you are fully, completely, and absolutely supported. So now that we've identified our talent pool, I'm going to need you to audition. Okay? And so at this point, I need you to deliver the line to me. I must have hung the moon. And you're going to give it to me in your most emphatic, enthusiastic delivery. I'm going to see my fellow panel members' hair below back. And so you're going to give that to me on 1, and we're going to go in 3, 2, 1. I is you've got to connect with your audience. And in this analogy, it means you need to get out there and sign some autographs. And how are you going to do that? Well, you're going to stamp your Infinite Possibilities presentation with your own unique style. You're going to provide your look, your lingo, your own particular brand of crazy. And you've got to embrace that. It's all important that you do. And just know that when you do, it will be embraced by others. Somebody out there wants your brand. Now for me, I struggled with this. And I kind of was verbalizing that at the Seattle conference out loud, saying things like, oh, you know, I'm going to have to travel outside of my sphere of love. I'm going to have to go to some inconvenient place completely away from where I live and work, because the people around me have the opportunity to connect with people like Deepak Chopra, Neil Donald Walsh, Dr. Sue Morter. Why in the world would they want to hear me say anything? And you know, the answer really came from a fellow attendee. And what she told me was that because there's people out there that are only going to get it, really, really get it, when it comes from you. So even though they might have heard all those other people, in the end, you're going to be the container that makes it all just click into place and make all the sense in the world. So thank you, CK, because that is the hard truth. Your way is the right way. Giving yourself the personal freedom to do this, to be your authentic self, is giving somebody else the key to their own personal freedom. So within that spirit, the fun part comes, right? You're the star. This is your production. What do you get? Well, you get a hell of a lot of fan mail. That's what you get. And so you have to know that your audience is out there waiting for you. They're just waiting. And so how long will you make them wait? If you think about it from the audience perspective, the answer is pretty quick, pretty simple. It's right there, as soon as possible, right? You got to give them the satisfaction of their ticket. You've got to show up. And I assure you that when you do, your perfect audience will manifest every time. And sometimes that's an audience of 242. And sometimes that's an audience of 2. And no matter what it looks like, if you stay in the good of what's being shared, what you have to offer, I guarantee you that the perfect answers will arrive for you in the same way that they arrive for that audience of 1, that audience of 2, that audience of 200. So we've got our production, we've got our star, you're making it happen, it's real, but you're wondering, how do you get your star on the Walk of Fame? How do you get your star on the Infinite Possibilities Trailblazer Walk of Fame? Your brand has been approved, you're heartily endorsed. What you do is you capture the bliss of this conference and you allow the momentum of this conference to carry you forward. You stay energized by staying connected and you jumpstart your goals. And for me, those goals were borrowed from a lovely trailblazer at our last conference by the name of Dana. And you know, I borrowed Dana's goals because they resonated with the project manager in me. And she was very straightforward, it was very linear. It was, I want to earn my Trailblazer certification by the next conference, and I want to speak on that Trailblazer panel. Here I am. In that moment, I was her perfect audience. Her personal freedom was the key to my own. And her message really resonated. resonated within me within a way that none of the other speakers had. And I had 3 days of listening to fantastic speakers, but just that project management hat rose up and I was in it. So I want to thank you for your time and attention today. And I'll tell you that if you step into this, just know that you're going to go viral.
I have a handout in the handout section of your binder. Okay, you guys find it? I'm a note-taking kind of person, so. Okay. So, you're all finding your handout, but I want to start by telling you a little secret. But shh, don't tell Mike. Shh. The secret is that I attended the Seattle conference, but I never ever planned to be a trainer. I just attended because I love Mike's work, and I wanted to learn to teach this to my family. But now I've taught 2 classes, and I'm so happy because now every day I'm living the truths that I've known about for years instead of just knowing of them in some nebulous way. But when I was in your seats 5 months ago, I was wondering the same things that you're probably thinking. Why would I make a good trainer? How would I do it? And most importantly, will my friends think I'm weird? I really wondered that. But I also couldn't deny this warm feeling I had in my heart, this warm, excited feeling. Are any of you feeling something like that? Yeah. So I started thinking, wow, I just might do this training thing. Maybe I will. And I went home and I completed the workbook myself. And then I was really, really inspired. And all of a sudden I decided, I'm going to do this. I am going to do this. So I went to send my first email to invite my first class, and I got scared, and I stopped. So I thought about it for another 2 days or so, and I got my enthusiasm back, and I went to send the email, and I couldn't send it. The fear and the self-doubt came back. That happened about 5 times. I'm sure you get the picture. So I realized what I needed to do was to build my self-confidence and my enthusiasm so that I could do it. So I started to do that by rereading Mike's book, rereading the workbook, rereading the presenter's guide, the trainer's manual, lots of times. And I started to gain momentum and enthusiasm and the love and the help that I wanted to share. It started to grow bigger and bigger and bigger than those worries and those self-doubts. So then finally, I sent the email. So my best friend was the first to reply, and she said, yeah, I'll be there. Are you ready? And I said, no. I'm not ready, but I will be ready. So that leads to my recommendation of how you can make sure that the love and the enthusiasm you have and that you want to share, how you can make that grow bigger than your self-doubts and your worries so that you can be ready. And that is, be organized, be prepared, and find tools that work for you and that work for your trainees. And you've heard some of these things before, but find the tools that work for you so that you'll be ready. So I want to introduce you. Can you grab that box for me? I'm going to introduce you to my tools. Just a minute. Okay, so you might wonder about this love of organization and tools. So I would say from my mom, she, when I was young, taught me Jonathan Livingston Seagull and illusions, and my dad taught me woodworking, how to build things, and this very important phrase, P to the 7th, which means proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. That's what my dad taught me. So, the first thing is so simple. Do any of you feel like you don't have good personal stories or ideas to share for each chapter? I totally did. When I went home, I took a piece of notebook paper. For each chapter heading, I put the chapter name on the top, and I started to pay attention. And whenever I had the littlest idea, the littlest story that happened to me in the day, I would go and I'd write it down on that page. They became a mess, but I went and I wrote it down right away, and those ideas grew and grew. And if you pay attention, and you don't just let the ideas fly away, you'll be surprised at how many good ideas you really have. So that was first. The second tool, and other people have mentioned this, is the workbook. Okay, this is step number 1 to being a trainer. So if you order your workbooks right away, you can cross step 1 off your list. And the bonus is that when that box comes in the mail, it's so exciting. It's just awesome, and make you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm a real trainer, I have materials, I'm ready. Your enthusiasm will grow. It's just awesome. The next tool is Mike's book and Mike's other books. This has been mentioned many times. I bet I read this 7 times, and his other books as well. This tool will probably make you feel more prepared than any other because you'll just start to feel like you know it backwards and forwards, which boosts your confidence so that you'll feel ready to go and teach that class. Another great tool that has been mentioned many times is the Facebook group. And the reason I love this, or one reason, is that I've always felt there's no need to reinvent the wheel. When I'm doing any project, there's no need to do everything from scratch. Trainers have shared all kinds of incredible documents, PowerPoints, etc., all kinds of links, ideas for exercises. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. You can take somebody's PowerPoint, change it to suit your own style. You'll also get so motivated and excited just looking at all the ideas on the Facebook group. My other recommendation is to use a presentation tool if you feel it suits you. I used PowerPoint, and that was invaluable to me. One of the main reasons, I think, is it just made me feel prepared. It made me feel organized. It probably made me look way more organized than I really was. You know, you can drop in videos, photos, etc. It'll make you feel confident. It'll make you feel ready. And I'd suggest, even if you're not planning a class yet, start your presentation now. Why not? Just start dropping things in to different chapter headings, and then as it grows, you'll start to think, wow, look, I have a presentation. I guess I can be a trainer. So go ahead and start it now. Videos, as it's been mentioned, are an awesome tool. They engage people in a different way. There are so many great video resources out there that have just such a great message, and it gives your class variety. If you put these in there, you'll feel confident knowing that you've created a class that is going to touch people in a different way than just you talking all the time. Now, I bet you want to have a class where you get people talking, right? You get people involved. So I like to do that by having people talk at the beginning of every class. So in my very first class, I have everybody introduce themselves, and I simply ask the question, why did you sign up for this class? And you'd be surprised at the deep answers that people will give. And the added bonus is that people start to see that this class is interactive and that they're going to learn a lot from each other, not just from you. And you're going to learn a lot from them as well. So at the beginning of every class, I like to do some kind of sharing where we talk about maybe what they did the last week. So if we've been talking about flipping your thoughts, I say, okay, who flipped your thoughts? What happened? How did it go? If we're talking about installing new beliefs, what new beliefs did you install? How did that work out? Let's see, the next tool is workbook pages. I really like to have the participants do probably 2 or 3 workbook exercises in a class. The workbook exercises are a really powerful tool, and maybe we don't always complete the whole thing, but having them do this in class gives them a focus point in their own life of what's going on right then. What are some things they want to change? What are goals that they want to work on? And so then it makes your direct teach part of the class much more relevant to them and what they're working on right now. So I think doing a little bit of the workbook in class makes everything that you're teaching that day much more powerful. Let's see. Next is exercises and games. Okay, not exercises and games like Twister, but we've all learned a lot of different exercises and games and activities, and there are so many of them in the trainer's manual, the presenter's guide, and we want our classes to appeal to all different types of learners, right? Well, some people are active learners, so if you can get them up out of their chairs and you can get them up doing something, they're going to be much more involved. So you can feel confident if you prepare a class that has some exercises that gets people out of their seats, that you made a class that is going to be interesting and fun for a lot of different kinds of people. And probably my favorite tool are things that your participants create in class that they can take home. I call them take-home tools. So these are tools that they create themselves. So in my class, we created just flip the thought cards, where I take an index card and they write an old thought on one side, and they write the new thought that they want to think on the other side. We've done belief and mantra cards, where I take just old, pretty scrapbook paper and cut it up, and I have them write new beliefs that they want to install on these cards. And then I tell them, oh, hang it up on your mirror. Put it in your toothpaste drawer. Look at it before you visualize in the morning. I also brought everybody in my class little gratitude journals. And when we did the section on gratitude, I had them fill out the first page. So I think, feeling gratitude is so important. So they filled out a whole page of things that they're grateful for in their lives. So we did other tools as well, other worksheets. But doing those tools, I felt like they would continue their learning at home. I didn't just want them to learn in class. I wanted them to continue their learning at home, and hopefully that would make them a lot more successful. And my last tool, that was really for me, that made me feel confident and prepared, was my class outline. Now, I didn't show this to my participant because they didn't need to know how type A I was. But I would write down when we were going to do slides, when we were going to do an exercise, when I was going to share a story, when I was going to show a video, every little part, when we were going to do workbook pages. And it doesn't mean that I couldn't be flexible, that I couldn't make changes, but having this made me feel confident and prepared going into that class so that I had a framework and I knew how it was probably going to go. That really, really, really helped me. So those are my tools. Those are most of my tools anyway. And I'm sure that you will have some tools too. You'll have your own ideas of tools that will work for you and will work for your trainees. So why were they important to me? They were important to me because I was really nervous before I sent that first email. And I felt self-doubt as I was preparing every class, before I delivered every class. I felt nervous like 15 times. So instead of saying, I was worried, I would say, can I do this? I don't know how to prepare this. I just don't know if I can do it. So instead of giving up when I had those thoughts, I would just take a deep breath and I'd get busy using my tools. Because using them, I was prepared. And through that preparation, I knew that I was doing my absolute best. And that gave me the confidence to get rid of the jitters, to get rid of the nerves, and to triumph over the worry and the doubt so that I could share this awesome message with everybody. Wow, this is pure magic.
That's the only explanation for how I could be standing here in front of you today, speaking on a stage. Because I have visualized this moment for years. I didn't know where it would be, I didn't know how it would come about, but I could see it. And here I am. And you get to be here too. And even more exciting than that, well, this is really exciting, and even more exciting than that, I realized one of my biggest dreams just 2 months ago. You know that thing that you call a BHAG? Big, hairy, audacious goal? I had that come true 2 months ago. I went to Bali, Indonesia, as a trailblazer, and taught my very first international Infinite Possibilities workshop. And it was to the most wonderful, amazing group of women, one of which was singer-songwriter Janice Stanfield in my class. I couldn't have imagined all of that. You ask, how many years have you been studying Infinite Possibilities, CK, for all of this to come true? Oh my gosh. I can wing this. I met Mike Dooley in January in Seattle. 5 months ago, I heard about Infinite Possibilities. 5 months ago. I hadn't read the book. I don't know where I was, but I hadn't. I've read the book since. I was so excited when I met Mike Dooley. Woohoo! All of the puzzle pieces started to come together. Why had I been a Toastmasters for 2 years? Why had I started writing all these positive songs and learning songs? I wrote a song last year, before I met Mike Dooley, called If I Believed, that Maylin has so nicely been playing for us. And I met Maylin in Vietnam 3 years ago, who knew we'd be here today. I put on a really good persona. What you see in front of you is so polished, so beautiful. I always want to put on that great facade so everybody thinks I'm perfect. But underneath, yes, that is me as a lovely child. I felt this a lot of my lifetime. Compared myself. Afraid to speak even in small groups. That's why this is magic. But when I talked to Mike Dooley, and I heard it was going to be in Denver, I am from Denver, even though I live in Seattle now, the training that was 10 minutes from where I worked up there, I knew something was laying out really great. And Mike Dooley, how can I be a volunteer and speak in Denver? And Mike Dooley says, ooh. Just become a trailblazer. And I said, no problem. I'll go out there, I can do that. Yeah. And I walked out those doors in Seattle in January, and I was ready. I was ready to be a trailblazer, and I was left to my own devices. Which hadn't always worked out so great for me in the past. But I had a new bag of tricks. And even though those fears started to come in, even though I was starting to compare myself, Miss Becky, Buckman already has a 19-person class all set up in Nashville, and how many of her people it was, and so-and-so has already trained 100 people, even though there was a snowstorm. I think it was Nancy Morrison. It's all become a blur, all the wonderful people that we've shared ideas with. I was comparing myself to all of those. But then the teaching started to kick in, and I became my own best student. And I realized that we all succeed. Whether this is brand new to you, you've never been a trainer, you've never heard about Infinite Possibilities, or you're a seasoned trainer, and you're a coach, and you're putting this as a new tool into your bag of tools and tricks to go out and help the world, or you're somewhere in between like I was, and that's where you start to compare yourself and think, oh, I should be better than this, right? No, everyone succeeds just by putting that positive energy out into the world, being here. You've already succeeded. And as I was preparing for Bali, I found there were 3 essentials that really helped get there. And we'll go on to subsequent slides and look at these individually. Being your own hero, several parts of that. Celebrating your own unique success, because even though you're sitting there side by side learning the same material, not one of you has gone through the same journey. Not one has the same message to bring to the world. You all have something unique to give and celebrate. There's no comparison, because you cannot compare yourself to anyone else. You can't. You are important, what you have to bring to the world. And dance with that inner critic. You know that inner critic that comes in? It was your mother, your dad, your sister, your cousin, whoever it was. Oh, you can't do that. You're not good enough. You don't know that. Better just back away. I listened to that so long. And you know, it's not the truth. And it's not the truth about who you are. And you know that now. That inner critic is actually trying to protect you. And so what you can do, because we all pretty much have that, I think. Maybe there's somebody out there that's mastered that, and I'd love to speak to that person after class. Turn to that inner critic and say, inner critic, thank you for caring about me. And I don't need to look at this anymore that way. I will succeed. We will succeed. And inner critic, let's sing and dance and rock this thing. Be the workbook. How many times have you heard that over this weekend? I didn't believe it at first. It took me until the end of February to open up my workbook, and open it up I did. Read it from cover to cover, do every one of the exercises. Yes, it's going to take time, and yes, it is so worth it. Not only are you going to become more effective here in class, you are going to become much more comfortable with your class, but most important, you will become the embodiment of this wonderful material. It's all in your workbook. Use it. Cross-reference the presenter's guide that you've been given, and start to make notes in the margin, highlights, and reference with your own personalized lesson plans. Oh, by the way, which I'm going to put together my own sample lesson plans and put them on the website. So you'll have a starting place if you don't know where to start. You can look at all my lesson plans. You can use them all. You may not know my own stories, so I would suggest putting your own stories in place. And do a pre-class review. After you've done all this, the night before each session, review that particular chapter so you're really refreshed in it, and then let it go and know that you have done your work. All right, another portion of being your own hero. You take that spotlight off of you, because all that does is magnify some of your mistakes anyway, and we don't want to do that. And shine it on all of your students. 241 sparkling diamonds looking at me right now in those spotlight. Because even though you see maybe blank faces, that is not the truth, and you know that is not the truth of anyone that you look at. Remember the facade of what you saw about me and what was underneath that. Well, underneath those blank stares, there's also a sparkling diamond waiting to be awakened by the material that you give them. You may not even see it. It may happen after the class is over. And bottom left, one of the most sparkling diamonds in my class in Bali is here today, Eileen, who's hiding, who's soon to be trailblazing. Number 2 is essential is get connected. You have forged wonderful connections here this weekend. When you walk out those doors, don't leave these connections behind. Take them with you, whatever way you can, because you can uplift each other. You share celebrations. Small steps along the way is still a celebration. Each step forward is a celebration. Each mistake and learning is a celebration. You have questions to ask your fellow trainers. What did you do? What did you do when you felt this? What did you do when you couldn't dance with your inner critic? What did you do? You can share that, and you can have other people remind you when you forget about the truth about who you are, the sparkling diamond that you are. And you can get answers from each of the trainers. And what am I going to recommend? Facebook. How many people have said that, but it has been my lifeline. That is how I met these wonderful people. I didn't know them except through Facebook, and now here they are, and right here physically on the stage with me. And It has been such a lifeline, such a wonderful thing. There are files to download. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. They're all there. Somebody put some wonderful slides there a few weeks ago. Amazing slides that I am certainly going to plagiarize. If you have not signed up for Facebook yet, if you have avoided it, please get over that, sign up, get on the page. It is private. It is a private page between the trainers only. All right, bring it at home. The third essential, focus on your Bali. What is your Bali? Your big, hairy, audacious goal that when you think about it, it lights you up with excitement from inside. Just thinking about it just makes you excited just to think about it. Put that out there as a beacon in the light that you can, as a shining beacon in the night that you can aim for. Because when you do that, when you make the decision, the opposite most often shows up. That's just the way it is. That is a facade. That is not the truth. Just let it be. Know that you will move away from that opposite and you will continue to move towards the thing that you have put out there. Keep going. Celebrate your steps. I had the hardest trouble getting anyone to sign up for my first class, it seemed like, in my mind. I don't know how hard it really was. I think it was actually perfect. Oh, it worked out. My first class, 5 people, included a 12-year-old boy, which is also perfect because I got to see things from his perspective. Yes. The other person you can see, bottom right in the blue shirt over here, Joe Harrington from Oregon, drove up 3 hours to be in my class. Another trailblazer to be. And it was perfect because this was 5 days before Bali. I really wanted to be a trailblazer to go to Bali, but it was okay because I had run through all the material and I had done it successfully. But my husband was of a different mind, and my trailblazer came from the most unlikely source. My husband has not studied the law of attraction, does not really know who Mike Dooley is. Now he does. But he said, I know it's important to you to be a trailblazer. What if we work on this the next few days? What if I take your class? Will Mike Dooley say okay? And Mike Dooley said, woo. Sorry. As long as he does the work and it's an honest to goodness class. So we set up our living room with the slides, the videos, the workbook. He asked me hard questions that no one had asked. And 5 hours before I left for the airport to Bali, we finished and I was a trailblazer. Oh, yes, that's how I felt too. Getting on that plane was amazing. What is your Bali? Focus on it. Know that you will get there, no matter what you do. How you do it, how long it takes you to do it, as long as you keep going and believe in it and focus on it, you will get there. And you take your own sparklingness of your unique self and mix it with the infinite possibilities that you have learned here today. Go out there and share it with the world, and you will make an amazing difference.
Well, my story's a little different. I knew who Mike Dooley was because I had read Infinite Possibilities. I listened to The Matrix on my computer. I think I got it off Mind Valley or something. But I had no plans to come to Infinite Possibility Trainer because I was going to marry at Christmas. And I was going to go out with a guy. And the thing is, he looked a little bit like Mike Dooley. But my dog got sick and I couldn't go. Well, because my dog got sick and I couldn't go, I could go to Train the Trainer. But I didn't know it was Train the Trainer. I thought it was just Mike Dooley talking about how to live the law of attraction. So I come to the class, and I don't even know still until Friday afternoon, because I didn't get here Thursday night because I had a trial, lawyer. So I'm here, and I'm really sleepy. Okay, so I'm a lot of caffeine, and then that means I gotta go to the bathroom. So I keep leaving. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't belong here. I didn't feel comfortable at all because everybody was so happy. And I told you I was a traveler, right? Yeah, I'm not used to that. So everybody was really happy, and there was dancing here in the morning. I think Mary Jo, I think I saw her, and she scared me. And you know what else scared me? All these spiritual people. Because I live again in Alabama, and we don't have that kind of thing there. So, well, I mean, you know, we have Bible bell, like we heard, but we don't have, for instance, Amy's bracelets. That really disturbed me. I didn't get it. I mean, vibration activation, that's not what that meant to me. Not at all. What is this? What kind of conference am I at? And I was really concerned about auras. We were talking about auras and chakras. I didn't know what any of that was, and I felt so like I was in the wrong place. I mean, I used to leave every break and go back to my room. I know. Does anybody feel a little like uncomfortable? Oh, wait, I'm here in Denver. Forget it, right? But I mean, I didn't know what gluten-free was. I mean, I was really like, this is such a different day. And I was sitting at a table of life coaches, and they said, oh, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to do that. You know, I'm not just telling right on out, because I was not going to teach this material. I mean, I didn't come to do that. In fact, Friday night, I went and watched a movie, got some room service. I did not want to participate. Finally, Saturday afternoon, I kind of got it. Like, you know what? This is cool. And then we went to the cocktail party and I met a guy. Well, I became distracted once again. I know. So then I said, you know, let's just not go to this Mr. Movie. You know, I think we can. But I did. I stayed for a little while. He's from Alabama too, so we like that whole time. So anyway, the next day during the panel discussion, I heard one thing, and the lady said, "Go home and set up your classes." And I thought, well, I'm not doing that. But okay. I was texting that guy I met. I know, but you know what happened? Despite all of that, I went home and I listened to that one panel discussion, right? So I went home and I said, I'm going to order some workbooks. And I ordered 100 workbooks. Now, I don't know who said it today. Order your workbooks and they'll come. So I ordered 100 with no plan. No plan at all. I mean, I wasn't even going to be a trainer. But I had a staff, right? I had a staff of about 5 people, you know. And I added a couple more people. In fact, I brought a couple of my staff members. And so I had my staff there, and we had a little class. And then I liked it so much that I had 6 more. And it became so easy to make that 100. In fact, it was about 3 weeks before the end of my, I was getting ready to come, and I did make 100. I hadn't even counted mine. But yet, by the end of the time, there were 7 here, there were 15 here, there were 23 here, there were 20, I'm not counting this, right? Anyway, it was 98 people. So I thought, oh no, I'm going to do what CK did, I'm doing a stretch and teach the new guys in my office. And they were okay, they didn't have to work, you know, they're all right. And they were saying, yeah, okay, we'll listen. So what happened is, I had a Mary Kay group, I had a sales director, and I said, can you give me the names of everybody in the class? I'd missed 2. So actually, 100 people. And this is I like to call it my accident trainer story. Because I didn't think that I wanted to be a trainer. In fact, I left here thinking I wasn't going to be a trainer. I don't even know if Mom ordered the 100 workbooks. But I told you I'd read Mike Dooley, right? Well, I am a manifestor. And I had some things to manifest that brought me here. I was not happy. And this brought me, I was so good right. So I had a list of things I wanted. And one was joy. And one was happiness. Sorry. And one was to be inspired. And all of those things happened. Because, I didn't have a plan, but the universe had one for me. And I didn't know what the universe was. saving you for vibration? Or how about let's do some muscle testing at home? But my favorite is, no honey, I don't want you to have sex with you. I just want to be near your source area. I learned that at the conference last year in January. Yeah. But anyway, so I had so much inspiration then. I mean, I have got so many friends. I mean, I really didn't have that many friends because I didn't want any negative influences. I had enough of it in my office. So I didn't have that many friends. I had a wonderful staff. But I have got so many wonderful friends now. I immediately went to see Gretchen and Tracy. I went to a spirit gallery right in January when I got back. And I went to see Kim in February. I was not going to let what happened to her leave. And I also have gotten some inspiration from a very unlikely place. And when Andy did the visualization, he was saying, what do you see? Your message to the world. And the only thing I could think of was, don't eat pork. Say that today. But there's somebody that inspires me every day, and he is my big Wayne. Now, I know that my friend Jen, who was here, she said, is this going to be thoughts become pigs? Because I had a picture of him above my bed. Or maybe this is the universe pulling another little joke on me, get it, big Wayne. But yeah, I'm a 45-year-old single woman anyway. So anyway, we're going to take a look at Wayne. And my other little piggy named Iggy. Because they're great inspiration to all of us. So I want you to, Tom, can you help me? Thank y'all so much for listening to me, and I think y'all would really like this. If you want to get up and dance along with my piggies, y'all are welcome to do it.
From January to June. I just knew that I was going to do it. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know anything technical at all. I always mess up the video. But I just knew that it was really important to get the message across. So the thing is, sometimes you just have to do it for what you want. It doesn't matter what kind of obstacles you have. It doesn't matter if you have to get down and wallow in it. Sometimes you have to get dirty. Sometimes you have to stretch yourself. And always you have to remember what's the end result. For me, it was coaching a lot of people out there. For Wayne, it's the food. So my second thing I named it. The reason for that is because I got him on a weekend in New Jersey with the Infinite Possibilities Retreat. We call ourselves Ippy, and what a better name for a little piggy who doesn't think that there's anything he can't do than Ippy. Ippy, in fact, will chase Wayne, who's 150 pounds bigger than him, probably, all over the yard, because he doesn't think there's any obstacles. He'll do it all day long, and then he can go and rest and feel perfectly content wherever he is. That's what being Ippy is about. Being happy, being contented, being willing to push boundaries, and whatever you're doing, going